Mic check 1 2 1 2. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the FoxieMooseShow, episode 7. And today we're going back in time for several reasons, actually. Some of you may have noticed that I have uploaded this video previously to my channel, but there was no audio, so I had to go back and re-record everything. It's really frustrating, but that's okay. You know, it's only 45 minutes of time, but that's okay. We're going to move forward. The second reason was because we did not have an episode 7. The one I did have recorded just kind of fell out of place, and I didn't really upload it at that point. But we're here today with episode 7, filling in the gaps, doing what we have to do. For those who don't know, I'm your host, Tyre Godet, aka FoxieMoose, and I'm here to analyze your favorite characters. For I just lost my chain of thought. Usually, what I do here is character concept art, and I also enjoy teaching people learn while inspiring creativity. So after that whole mess or whatever of an intro, let's move on to the topic for today's show, which you can tell by the title is we're going to be analyzing Birdie's design, Street Fighter V Birdie, and seeing what's going on with him and, you know, basically why he let himself go. All right, so let's do that. Oh man, I'm like all in the mess, but that's okay. That's okay. We're doing this all in one take. I may be a little hyped up on coffee, but that's cool. Maybe we'll get some extra energy in this today, and then we'll have a ton of fun. Let's actually go over to the wiki here, and I basically want to pull this up just so you guys have something to look at while I'm talking. I thought about having like a combo video up, but I felt that would be a little bit too distracting. So I'm going to basically scroll down through the wiki as I'm talking about certain things. Kind of what I did in the Sakura video. Okay, so let's explore. We're going to be explaining the story for the sake of understanding the design. This isn't really like a lore discussion. It's literally just figuring out if Birdie's design as a whole works. And you can't design a character without knowing at least what their story is. So let's go ahead and break that down. So based on the information from the fan wiki, Birdie is an ex-pro wrestler. And fun fact, he was actually a tag team partner of a character named Titanic Tim, from a game called Saturday Night Slam Masters, which came out in about 1993, and that's like down here somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, he was known as the 500 million trillion powers. It sounds super lame, but as you can see, he turned to a life of crime when his wrestling career ended. After he became involved in crime, he did some street fighting along with being like a nightclub bouncer. So he decided to put his bulk to use, and he really just wanted to keep fighting people. His notoriety got him invited to the first World Warrior tournament, where he lost to Ryu. That's basically where everyone loses to Ryu. Let me make sure I'm still recording here. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. At some point, he did join Shadowloo, and he tried to overthrow Bison. And he ultimately left Shadowloo and wanted to betray them, because he didn't like how they didn't like how they handled business. And he didn't want to wear a hat. Like, honestly, Fang was like, yo, Birdie, my guy, you got to put on a hat. Because now it's a part of the rules. You have to wear it. He was like, nah, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. So he left. And, yeah, he was like, peace. And he actually, you can see here they have on the wiki that he doesn't like Fang. Oh, that's really funny. And another fun fact, in one of the alpha games, I think I don't know which alpha game it was. In the alpha series, he actually did say that he was pale due to being sick. In the earlier games, so he actually comments on why he was like, I don't. Some of you may not know, but Birdie was actually more light skinned. Closer to like Caucasian almost, in the first Street Fighter, and then he gradually got darker over time. Um, and he says he was pale, so he was pale because he was sick. So that's kind of funny that he actually kind of mentions that. But my thing is, if that's the case now, I mean, if that was the case before, but man, like, like, was he sick before? Because he's like really big now. Um, and the one thing I really should mention that has no kind of tie into this is where we can go into Photoshop. He has a tattoo on his stomach. Let me go ahead and get a highlight color. He has a tattoo on his stomach that makes no sense whatsoever. It's right here. It says life like dice. Now I understand that he kind of likes living life on a whim. I guess from what I understand from the story that was there, he kind of likes living on a whim and just kind of rolling the dice, just going on whatever. Basically, he goes with the what's the word? What's the phrase? He's like water. He does whatever is basically like going on at the time, and if it benefits him. But I think having a tattoo that says "life like dice" is really, really bad. Like, why? Well, why? Like, why? That makes no sense to me. Like, you could have got like some dice, and you could have put dice on your stomach. Like, you could have literally like he could have had some cool design. Where's my? He could have had some cool design where like his belly button was like a dice or something like that. Or you could get rid of this stupid ass skull thing that makes no sense. This thing right here makes literally zero sense to me. But whatever. I don't understand why he has a skull on his on his uh on his chain necklace. It makes no sense to me. I understand the chain necklace. I don't understand why he has a skull, like a demon skull. I don't understand that. And it would make sense, if it fit in with his story. But as we finish the rest of the story, we're about to wrap it up. You'll see that there's a lot of things that could be done to his design to actually play into the current story. So the last piece of story bit that I want to touch on is the fact that he actually works for the Kanzuki estate. He's basically a bodyguard for them, like that whole financial group, and that whole Kanzuki family. He's a bodyguard for that family, and there's nothing about that on here, like nothing at all. Like we'll get into more of the physical features later, but it literally there's nothing on here. Instead, you have this random skull thing, and you have lifelike dice. Like that makes no sense to me. But let's move on. So obviously this is for a 2D fighting game. So the important design aspects are going to be seen from the front and from the side, which is why like something like a mohawk here is like really, really good. I'll show you this picture for now, but we'll go into, we're basically getting into this picture once we get into the end game discussion. Can't talk. The end game discussion. You can see how from the side you can see his really distinct mohawk shape, which is really unique to his character. So I think that's really good, and that's basically how you want to design for a 2D fighting game. It's from the front and from the side, because the back you're not really going to see. As for the archetype, the same thing that we usually go through, which is the role that they play in the game. So for fighting games, I've broken it down into a defensive, which are zoners and keep away characters, offensive, which are rush down characters, all-arounders, which are characters that can do anything, and grapplers / special characters, basically, characters that don't really fit in any of those categories, or people that have priority, like grapplers, like your Zangiefs and stuff. And I'm categorizing these characters for these videos based on their kit. So for Birdie, I'm going to put him into the defensive category because he excels at the neutral game. Like his strong point are having these really good neutral attacks, these mid-range attacks where they hit hard or they can lead to something else. Basically, he controls space really, really well, especially the fact that he can put down like bananas and roll the soda can, making it really difficult to actually close in on him. So I think he's a really good defensive character that excels at keeping that like neutral space. Now, when we move on to, we're gonna talk about the trope, which is basically like his occupation or his class. If this was like an MMO, this basically grounds the character to something familiar and similar. So here we can definitely see that he has some kind of street thug slash punk, like street punk elements, which makes sense because in his story, he's a retired. He quit his life of wrestling and turned to more of like a life of crime, so he became this kind of street punk. And I think that's told really well over his character design. You have these really punkish clothes and that don't fit anymore. Um, I mean, granted, he always had that kind of like his stomach was like always out, but it wasn't like bulging. Um, but yeah, he has these like street punk clothes, and you can really get that feel from his attire. And I know there's different types of street punks and street thugs. For those who don't know, location and home is one of the things we're going to be talking about. But just for the sake of this conversation, Birdie is from the United Kingdom, which you can see a bit of influence from his collar over here that has that kind of like UK flag going on, those kind of attributes, which I think is really cool how they put that in there. That's really really awesome. Um, and then they have this like kind of triangle motif going on up here. I think that's really cool that they incorporated they incorporated that design element into his character. Because normally UK street thugs and street punks have like they'll have like a flag attached to like the area back here around the what is this called? The trapezius. You'll have like a they'll have like a flag like kind of stitched into the coat, but he doesn't have that. And obviously we wouldn't see that because we don't see this character. Again, it's a fighting game. We don't see that character from the back. So I'm pretty sure they realized that and we're like, okay, let's put some kind of symbolism here while keeping the same like black and yellow color scheme. So I think that's a really good design choice. Um, Now when it comes to the spin and hook, basically the spin slash hook is what makes the character interesting and memorable. You can do this in a multitude of ways by either introducing abilities, skills, history, a second trope, etc., etc. So here we have a few things that we can actually point out that makes Birdie interesting. So he's already a street thug, like that's what grounds the character, and then they start adding things like it goes back to his story, the fact that he was an ex-pro wrestler. You can add that into more of his design elements. So he has this really big, bulky body shape. And the one reason I do actually like this design from a design standpoint is the fact that they made him kind of let himself go. He doesn't really have like he has like a similar build to a strongman, where strongmans aren't necessarily like all muscular and whatever, because more like basically you have two types of body types when it comes to like design almost for males. When you're trying to present a strong character, you either have someone that's more like a bodybuilder or you have someone that's more like a strongman. And the difference between the two is actually very important. The bodybuilder characters are usually they have like really wide tops, and then they get narrow at the waist, so they get this kind of triangular shape, kind of like Superman or whatever. They kind of have this kind of triangular shape like that, and then their legs come out like that. But with strongmans, you have this more rectangular shape to show that, oh man, they're really like, it really helps to show that they're actually like strong and wide. You can find this in designs for characters like obviously like Birdie, and characters like Alawi from League of Legends, if you guys are familiar with that. They have very strong man type builds. And the fact that he has all of his abs are gone, and you literally just see this kind of belly. He still has the strong arms, but he literally does not have any more abs, and his belly is just hanging out. And I think this is really good because it shows that he let himself go, and as time went on, he literally was just focusing on the things he enjoyed, which were like food and fighting. So all he did was just, eat food and fight people whenever he had to or whenever he got bored. So I think that's really, really good. I know some people may be like, why? Why is he fat now? Like, he used to look so cool. That's because that I think that was closer. I'm not sure about the time periods, but I'm pretty sure that that was closer to the time period from when he just left like the wrestling scene, or he may have been a bit more active if it was like later on. But at this point, at this specific point in time, Birdie like kind of let himself go. Um, so this is probably like something closer to like retirement or like later on. Um, I'd have to look more into the. If you guys know the timelines, please comment below if you guys think this is before or after. The time the if you think Street Fighter V is later on in the story or before, because I'm pretty sure Third Strike is like the latest in the series in terms of timeline. Um, but yeah, whatever the case, here he let himself go, and that's why he has this bulge. Um, and another one of the hooks is that he's, like I said earlier, he's a bodyguard for the Kanzuki Zaibatsu, which is another word for a financial clique. Um, and my problem with this is that we don't see, as I said earlier, we don't see any of these design elements. Like, we don't see this at all. Like, maybe we can go into here. We can go into this one here. There, like, this skull could be turned into something that could be from the Kanzuki estate. You know, excuse me. This could be turned from like to show that he's a bodyguard for them. Maybe you can have like a pin on the jacket, or maybe like some kind of badge or something like that, or some kind of flag or something like that. Something to show that he's actually a bodyguard at the Kanzuki estate. But there's nothing here. It literally just shows him he's just a fat street thug. Like, that's it. So they had a lot of potential here to really do something like that. Um, and we also can mention the fact that he does use brawling moves, which fits really well into this whole street thug slash punk aesthetic. Even with the chains, he uses headbutts, he uses chains. He even throws his chains out to like grab somebody, and he eats food to kind of like make projectiles or make like obstacles. And I think that's all really really interesting stuff that really makes the character like memorable. Um, so now we can actually talk about his location and home. Where is he from and what type of culture is found there. And as we stated earlier, he was from the UK, and the collar really lets you see that. So I think they did a really good job there. I have no real comments on that part, to be truthful. Um, Now we can actually get into alignments. And alignments basically determine the nature or the personality of the character, in a general sense. So I like to start by breaking this down into two parts, which is the good, evil, or neutral side, or or along with the lawful, neutral slash chaotic side. So let's start with the good, evil, neutral side, and whether or not and see which area he actually fits in. So good people usually do nice things and think about others. They want to help those in need. Neutral people do things for their own gain. They see commitment through personal relationships, or they're committed through personal relationships. So they don't really care about following. They don't really care about doing things if it's nice or if it's wrong. As long as it benefits them, they'll do it. But they're not really fond of killing like the innocent or something like that. And then the last one is evil. These people literally just enjoy causing pain and suffering for people. Now, which one of these is Birdie? I'm gonna say that he is a neutral character for sure, because as we've seen, or as we talked about earlier, he left the Shadowloo for his own personal gain because he didn't like the fact that he had to wear a hat, and he also didn't like how they were handling business. So he felt that for himself it wasn't going to be good. So he decided to leave. Maybe he felt the same way about pro wrestling. He just kind of left. Maybe he felt that he got all that he could out of it. And maybe the same thing is going to happen with being a bodyguard. The whole reason he joined was because Karen offered to give him like food. Basically, he was like, okay, cool, I'll do it for food and money. That's really like his two motivators, is food and money. So he definitely signed up for that. And now, whether or not he's lawful or chaotic, let's see. So lawful means that you basically abide by a set of rules. You know, you work within a system of order, which is kind of what he did when he was at Shadaloo, and when he was like pro wrestling or whatever. Um, Chaotic means that he doesn't really care for rules. You know, so an example of chaotic would be like if he was more sporadic or he really had no real morals, or if he really prefers freedom. So in this case, you know, he would have he didn't like wearing like the uniform. He didn't want to put on the hat. Like he was fine with the rest of the uniform, but he didn't want to put on the hat. And the only reason I don't think he's chaotic is because he was okay with, you know, following the rules of the Shadow Loot until it came to his own personal his own personal feelings, because he didn't want to wear a hat because he felt that it would mess up his hairstyle. And lastly, we can go to neutral. And again, neutral is very similar to neutral in the other category, meaning that they will break or they will follow rules if they have to, you know, whatever is in their best interest. And, you know, with that being said, I definitely think that Birdie is a true neutral character. Like he's not good or evil, and he's not lawful or chaotic. I think he's honestly a true neutral character. He does things for his own personal gain. You know, he'll follow rules if he has to. He'll break them if he has to. Whatever. If it means that he can get money and food, he'll do whatever it takes. It's kind of like a mercenary. Mercenaries are generally like true neutral characters. Yeah. So that's actually the end of that section. So that's actually really good that we were able to close that out. I think last time I talked about this, it was a bit breathy. So I'm glad we were able to actually get that out of the way. So now we can move on to the design and communication. And before we get there, I want to show this image of I didn't look up to see who this was. I found it on Google, but I thought it was really cool because you can see what it would look like if he was still kind of like this is basically closer to his character in the previous games, where his belly is like gone, he's still fit, he's still active. So I think this looks really, really badass. It looks really badass, honestly. But from a design standpoint, I like the story that they tell with the bit of like pudginess to show that he's an ex. Like this guy, like right now, because of all these abs, he still looks like a pro wrestler, kind of like a Zangief. Zangief is still really fit, but you know, you have this retired. Like now you go to this and you see, oh, he's actually like a retired pro wrestler. Okay, so you really let yourself go, buddy. It's like I really like that little twist on that. So design communication, whether or not his design works for gameplay. So let's see what this character is capable of. We know that he does mid-range attacks. He does grapples. He does dolphin dives, which we will get into. Oh my god, we will get into that. We have food items, and we have, you know, these mid-range chain grabs or whatever. So let's actually break that down on the list. So does he look like he can do mid-range attacks? No. And this is why. If we wanted to show that he had some kind of range on his attacks, and we know he uses these chains, a good solution to show a new player this at a first glance is to literally just have them hanging down from here. Like have it hanging down like that. Just that little bit will show you, or even a bit longer, that will tell you that, okay, this character, you know, might have some distance to them because they have this kind of long range weapon. But without it being there, if we delete this, it's like, okay, he just looks like he's gonna walk up and punch it. They look like they have no function to them. And there comes a time and place where you have to. I understand that video game logic has to be thrown out the window sometimes for the sake of entertainment. But this is not one of those situations. One of those situations that could be touched upon is when we get into the food items. Now, we want to see like whether or not he looks like he throws food items. Yes, because he's a big guy. You know, he has a belly. you would expect him to kind of eat something. But my thing is, he literally just pulls, like, he pulls the classic anime and just pulls something out of his, like, ass. It's like, okay, like, that's so dumb. Like, I've always hated that. So what we could have done for the sake of entertainment, even though we still want to tell a story, that's what design is all about. Design is about telling a story. You can still tell a story here by giving him like a pouch or like maybe like a satchel or something to show that, okay, this guy has something with him that he's going to use. You know, maybe this is where he keeps his food. Obviously, you wouldn't want to give him like a purse thing because that just looks weird on like a grungy character. That looks really weird. So my best bet would be to give him some kind of like pouch, like on his leg, where he can like keep his food. Now this is where you can start getting into. This is where you can start breaking real life logic and start using video game logic. It's like, okay, we see that he has this pouch here, but to us, for the sake of entertainment, it doesn't matter how much stuff he has in it. What's important is the fact that you can say, okay, he has a pouch that he keeps something in. And then when you see him eat something, it's like, oh, okay, I guess it comes from here. You know, that's the purpose of it. That's the purpose of, you know, video game logic. It's that so you can tell a story. This isn't telling a story. So again, we're missing the fact that he doesn't look like he can do mid-range attacks, and we have no idea where he's getting his food from. So next on, do we see that? Does it look like he can do grapples? I would assume because of the big muscles, you know, general like grapplers have like big muscles here that you can really see, like really bulging muscles, like Zangief again. Or like if you want to count Alex, you know, they have these really big bulging muscles. That's a good indicator that a character is going to lift you up and like, you know, suplex you or something like that. So yes, I think they did a really good job on that front. In terms of chain grabs, again, you wouldn't expect it for the most part. Like, you would expect them to do something with the chains, but you wouldn't expect them to come out and grab you. Like, again, they would have to be dangling or something for you to get that impression. So if a new player is like unexperienced and they really see this guy for the first time, it's like, whoa, this character can actually use some like really good mid-range attacks. Okay, wouldn't have expected that. And then lastly, we get into the dolphin dives. Guys, what the fuck is that? Why? He does this like thing where he leaps, like, say this is him. This is little stickman Birdie, right? We give him the little belly. This is stickman Birdie. He goes from this to this. Like, he becomes like a dolphin. I think this is more like a shark, but he becomes like a dolphin where he like jumps up at you with like, and when he lands on you, he'll grab you with the chains that he pulls off like from nowhere. I guess he kind of stretches these out at that point. And he like kind of hooks them around you and picks you up and stuff. There is no way in hell it looks like this character can jump at me from like halfway across the screen. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that makes no sense at all. Like, I could see if he was like the Hulk, where the Hulk literally has like, he has big legs in addition to his big body. It's a bit more proportional. So it's like, okay, you can assume that this character can jump from building to building, how he's actually jumping. Birdie doesn't look like he can do that. He already has, you can already see that most of his weight is back here. So he's already leaning back quite a bit. So for him to actually jump and come forward is like, that would take so much energy out of him that he probably wouldn't even do it. So it literally makes no sense to me. There's nothing in his design that shows us that he can actually do a dolphin dive. I mean, yeah, we know that, you know, he might have been like an ex-pro wrestler, but even then, they still climb turnbuckles and stuff. So he's not like some kind of thin, athletic guy like he used to be. Even the bigger Birdie, like even this one doesn't look like he can do kind of dolphin dives. I wouldn't expect him to do dolphin dives. because it doesn't look like he can do that. He looks like he's strictly made for grabbing people and literally just being beefy. So that literally makes no sense to me from a gameplay design standpoint. And if you guys have opinions on, you know, Birdie's dolphin dives and whether or not he looks like he can do it, let me know in the comments below. I definitely want to hear what you guys think. But I personally, all of these videos are all my personal opinion, and I, for one, definitely feel that he cannot do dolphin dives whatsoever. So is there anything we can prove? Is there anything we can improve upon to end off this video? So again, we said, you know, have the dangling chains to indicate that he's actually a mid-range character, or that he has some kind of range to him. I think that's a really, really important factor. Add the satchel going on here to show that, okay, he can actually do something with his, like maybe he'll pull, you don't know what he'll pull out of it, but you can expect him to pull something out. And I wouldn't, this is where it gets kind of tricky. He has so many pointy shapes on him, but it doesn't make any more sense to me because he's not a part of Shadow Loot anymore. So why does he have so many points? He's not, I mean, he used to really have a thing for not wanting to be friendly with people, but in this game, he's been shown to have friends, and you know, throughout history, he's been shown to actually develop friendships. He's not an evil, kind of mean person. So I would really like to see what it would look like if he had some kind of, like, if he had a lot of rounded shapes to kind of go with his rounded belly. Because this rounded belly in itself shows that he's kind of soft, like he's kind of gotten soft, or he kind of let himself go, so he's not as tough and rigid as he used to be. All these points are like, this isn't Birdie anymore. It's kind of like someone playing, like someone trying to be something that they're not. That's what it feels like. He feels really fake. So I honestly think I would like to see some concepts of Birdie, where if they even tried to use some kind of like rounder shapes on him, because it literally makes no sense to me. Like according to like story wise, it makes no sense to me. Does it look cool? Do I love points? Hell yeah, I love points. But it makes no sense from this design. You would expect this guy to be really, really like aggressive and evil. I mean, yeah, he's a street punk, he's a street thug, but that's literally the only reason that this would be acceptable. But as I said before, like he's not only a street thug, he's not only a street punk. He's lived a life. He's lived a life. You know, he's not doing this life anymore. I would really like to see him in some kind of like, you know, bodyguard outfit, or like maybe like a suit at some point, and really get rid of all of these points. Like all these points, I don't think he should have them anymore. But that's, again, my opinion. And on that note, we're going to end off the video. I really want to thank you guys for watching this. I know it's probably going to be a really, really long video. And I'm really glad that you guys even watch my videos. I really appreciate it. If you guys like the content, please leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, please leave a thumbs down. But please don't. But you're welcome to. But please don't. And I just want to mention some affiliates here. You know, whenever I mention affiliates, I'm basically talking about stuff that I've used myself. And I want to mention Kingwin. That's really been a big help to me. I know some people have some problems with it, but I personally don't have any problems with it. And if you would like to go check it out, it's a place to really get some really cheap games, you know, at a low price, lower than usual. And it works for me. I don't have any issues with it. So go check that out if you guys want to. I'll leave the link below in the video, or below in the description. And I also opened up a Ko-fi account, which basically lets you make a one-time donation if you would like to. You know, if you have $1 or so, or $2 or $3, $5, whatever you have. If you have it, don't force yourself to donate, but every little bit helps so much. So if you even have $1 to spare, please visit the link to Ko-fi down below. Be sure to follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram. I do have a Tumblr that I don't really advertise, but I do have one. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit that bell. All right, gotta leave on the generic, the generic YouTube ending. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Hopefully, I can get another one out tomorrow. And we'll see who we'll be analyzing. If you guys have any suggestions for characters, leave your comments below. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.